What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today, it's time to preview round one. Port Adelaide versus West Coast this Sunday afternoon at 3:30 p.m. It's going to be a very interesting game. It's going to be a hot game of footy. Bright sunshine at the Adelaide Oval. We're back for 2024, and I'll tell you what, the excitement has finally kicked in for this week. After opening round and all the build-up and everything, it's been a fantastic pre-season for Port Adelaide as well. So I'm very much looking forward to talking about this game and hearing your thoughts as well, because it's going to be a fascinating year, and I'm very much keen to see how it all pans out for Port Adelaide this year. So let's get straight into it. Let's have a chat, eh? Let's talk about Port Adelaide versus West Coast. Let's preview round one for 2024. Finally, we've gotten to the round of footy where we can play. Opening round has been done. It was a fantastic success in terms of fans arriving at the game. It was a fantastic success in terms of teams winning, because obviously Carlton won, Sydney won, Gold Coast looked fantastic, and GWS upset the reigning premiers. And look, it's kind of our turn now. We're about to set the stage. The one thing for me that's really griping about this game is the fact that everyone gets their blockbuster moment in round one. You've got the big build-up of opening round, and then you get to the round one games, and Carlton play Richmond on the Thursday night, the traditional opening of the season time slot. Carlton plays Sydney at the Collingwood plays Sydney at the MCG. You've got Gold Coast and Adelaide at the Gold Coast on a Saturday night. You've got big games of football. And then you're just parking Port Adelaide versus West Coast 3:30 on a Sunday. And it's very funny because, look, after straight sets exit last year, the build-up of the pre-season for Port Adelaide, the obvious extension of Ken, the big talk about what Port Adelaide will do this year with recruits, and obviously getting Asava Radigalia, Jordan Sweet, Ivan Soldo, and Brandon Zerkdatcher. Will they play round one? There's a lot of talking points that have come from this pre-season into this year. And I think with Port especially, the big factor for me, and it's one that's been a very positive factor, and it's actually given me a lot of confidence from the club, is every year that we've sort of come into a new year after failing the previous year, we've been big talkers. We've been, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to be, and blah, 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 blah. We talk the talk a lot. What's happened this year in this pre-season is there hasn't been a lot of talk. There's been your standard media moments. There's been the big board talk about Warren Tredrea and him joining the board and all that build-up and everything. But in terms of on the field, we've kept quiet. Haven't heard much from Ken. Haven't heard much about on-field stuff with Koshi. The fans are sort of eager to see. We're not sure. I think the social media presence of Port Adelaide fans has been, what's round one going to look like? What's our team going to look like? How's it going to work? Then you look at the pre-season games, obviously trialling a few things in the game against the Crows, which was sort of just a practice match anyway. There's nothing really much to come of it. And then the hit out against Fremantle, it was a masterclass, really. It was just a nice approach into round one. Have a week off, watch the opening round games, and here we are. It's just been a very casual, very low-key stance for Port Adelaide coming into round one. And I've loved it. Because every year, as I said, we've come out and said we're going to win the premiership, or this team is the best list I've ever had, blah, 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 blah. There's none of that this year. It's just been quiet. It's just been, let's walk the walk. There's always talk. And I'm not saying there hasn't been any. I'm just saying that big talk is not there anymore, sorry. And the talk's been around Ollie Wines and obviously Connor Rosie being captain and the extension and everything. It's all been positive talk. And I love that. I've bought into that this year. I wanted to buy into that. I'm sick of the negative talk about, why can't we do this and why can't we do the big dance in finals? I'm sick of that, because we need to prove that. And we can keep talking, but it's not going to happen. Especially if we can't do it on the field, which is an obvious statement. But, what I'm trying to say is, if it keeps happening, we keep putting pressure on ourselves. The different approach this year has been fantastic, and I love that. It's a workman-like approach, and I just hope that it proposes itself on the field and happens for 24 rounds and happens in September. This week's game's against West Coast, and by all means, I'm walking into this one going, bloody hell, we're going to play West Coast, who are just outright atrocious. We're basing it all on last year's form, and obviously round one can propose many upsets and many many left field approaches and left field results or surprising antics that could occur. And that's going to happen this weekend, no doubt about it. The West Coast are coming into this one severe underdogs. They've had many of injuries. They still have great players on their list. They've got Tom Barras down back, Tim Kelly in the midfield. They're going to have their unveiling of the number 1 draft pick in Harley Reid this week. We get to see him firsthand, which is going to be great. They don't have the star power up forward to stand up to Port. Obviously, they got Oscar Allen, but I think now with our structural defence, that matchup's sort of covered. And if he gets off the chain of 3 or 4 goals, they don't have many other options down there. Jack Darling, maybe, but they have the capabilities of causing some trouble. And we saw that last year. We had a brilliant start and then ended up only being 40 points. And I'm sort of expecting the same result. What I would love is to come out, flex our muscles, really put in a performance where we get to showcase who we are against a team that's not going to be at that level this year. Win by 70 or 80 points, stamp our authority, gain a bit of percentage. We've always talked about percentage at Port Adelaide being we never really go out there and beat teams strongly. We need to do that. Don't take the foot off the gas type of mentality. And I look at our lineup and I think we have a very strong case to do that. In saying that, though, it's going to be hot. Obviously, it's going to be something that I wouldn't put a lot of expectation on. I'm expecting a win, and that's all I want to take out of this one. I want it to be a comfortable win, and I think we'll do that. We've got to look at how we work in terms of our midfield structure and get our rotations right. It's not really a lot you can preview in this one when it comes to round 1. It's the opening game. Fans are influxing into the Oval, and it's going to be 40,000 people on a hot day. It's going to be a beautiful day against a team that isn't recommended highly enough in terms of they're going to be good this year, and obviously so. But it's going to be a good, strong performance, and I want that to occur this week. And you know what? If you aren't excited about at least going to the Adelaide Oval, having footy back and enjoying a day at the footy, then you're strongly missing the key element of what football is this week. And I'm very much keen to get back there. I'm very much keen to stand with the people, sing Never Tear Us Apart, have not giving in play as the boys come out, and experience a game day, because watching opening round and hearing the roars of the crowd or just the moments of football that occur from time to time that you just sit there in amazement, that's what it's all about. And again, this year, I want to soak that in, and I'm sure everyone else wants to as well. Really soak it in, really enjoy the game, and hopefully Port Adelaide put in a performance where we can walk away and go, that was a nice Sunday at the footy. Teams this week, I've put out my best 23. I think it's a very strong 23. Obviously missing from that will be Ollie Lord with his knee injury there, and he's going to miss a few weeks with that, which is unfortunate because I think he was a lock to start the team for round 1, and he really will be a development throughout the year. He won't play every game, but I think there are strong eyes set on him to becoming the number 2 forward for Port Adelaide in the next year or two, especially with Dixon most likely to walk away and everything like that. But Dixon is our strongest component up forward still, and he'll play round 1. Who comes in for Ollie Lord? I think the most likely option will be Jeremy Finlayson as a fluctuating forward into a second ruck position to help out Ivan Soldo. I don't think Jordan Sweet will play. There is that option there to have the 2 rucks, and if they wanted to trial it, I definitely would recommend having a trial this week and seeing how it goes against a team like West Coast, who obviously have Williams in the ruck there, and they have a strong component in the ruck as well, but fluctuating between the two, it might be nice to see how it all pans out. Obviously in the midfield you'll have a rotation there with Wines, Rosie Butters, Jason Horne-Francis, Willem Drew. I think a few others will roam through there as well. So just trialling that this week may be an option. The other option is as well launching Georgiades straight into AFL footy in round 1. Probably the least likely option. Just give him a few weeks in the SANFL and see how he progresses and get a lot more game time under his legs. In saying that, though, I think he's very capable of just starting round 1 and being a rotation, could even be a sub if all things go well. I think a few other options as well that could be interesting for selection is Burgoyne, Mead. Who do they come in? Francis Evans as well. Does he get an option? Is he going to start as the sub? Is Boak going to start at the sub? I think Boak starts on the wing round 1. Simple as that. Was looking very good in the pre-season and looks to have found a nice spot for him to work his way through the games. And obviously he's going to play his 350th game as well in a couple of weeks if he plays the first 2 rounds. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. I'm not too worried about selection. I think it'll be an interesting factor to see how Ken and the panel work it. But if I'm a betting man, which I can be sometimes, it doesn't always work out well, I'm picking Finlayson will most likely be the option to come in, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see 2 rucks playing round 1 this week. A tip from me. Now, I'm going to be mindful of the fact that I'm very confident. I'm going to be mindful of the fact that it's going to be hot. I'm going to be mindful of the fact that it's round 1. I'm tipping Port Adelaide by 47 points. I think it's going to be a strong performance. One of those games where we hit the ground running, start really well, and just ease our way into the game and make sure no injuries occur and just set ourselves up nicely for the start of the year. We don't want any strong injuries or anything like that to kick off the season. We want to start this year well, and we want to really make sure that we put our authority down and fly under the radar a bit, because I think from hearing the outside noise, no one's backing us. They doubt us. They don't think we're going to go into the top 8 or even top 4 again. So I'm looking forward to seeing how we produce this year. It all starts this week, eh? Round 1. Poor fans, that is my preview this week. Let me know your thoughts. West Coast fans, if you are watching, I'd love to hear your thoughts on your team and how you're approaching this week as well. By all means, I'm not disregarding the talent that you will put out on the field. I'm just saying that I don't have any confidence in what your team is. But I'm not really looking at West Coast as much this year, and that's a little bit of a shame. But I'm really looking forward to hopefully you improve this year. Let me know your thoughts, obviously, in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. My name is Anthony. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new, for plenty more Port Adelaide and AFL content to come your way this year. Guess what? We're back. As always, come pair.